How's it going, everyone? Today we're going to talk about many issues facing us here in America, and more importantly, the issues surrounding Ohio. So I invite you to stick around, and we'll get down to the Ohio issues that were on the ballot, and we'll discuss how it comes into play for freedom, reproductive rights, whole surroundings of false Christians and false Republicans, all in this video. Stick around. Okay, everybody, first, thanks for tuning in, and appreciate everyone who tunes in and takes the time to watch this. And some of the stuff I'll be discussing in this will have a little bit to do with Christianity, and that's not me trying to force Christianity down your throat. It's me taking a look at how a lot of self-proclaimed Christians are actually being false Christians. We'll take the Democrat and Republican whole stance on this and point out how they're all fake, and both sides just each side is opposite side of the same bird, right? And a lot of, so if we take Ohio, yesterday we just voted on here in Ohio on the issues 1 and 2, right? And I'm going to point out how Ohio, being a mostly Republican state, is how it turns out that there's a lot of not just false Christians, but false Republicans as well, right? And but let's take a look at this. So first of all, before my main issue here today is just because of some stuff that's gone on online that is about Ohio issue 1, which is abortion, right? Mostly that's how people are taking it. But let's before I do that, we also had issue 2, and that's the legalization of recreational marijuana, right? So let's take a look at that first of all, and because the first thing I want to touch on with both of these issues is freedom, our freedoms, and some of that is some of that comes from, I was scrolling through Facebook this morning and seen a post that said something along the lines of, I seen a post, and I'm not, and this is from someone I know, and I'm not claiming that it was directed towards me, but it kind of hit me for a minute, because one, this is not who I am, but it says, you pretend to stand for freedom, but the truth is you only stand for people who think like you do. Now, I'm not saying, there's a lot of people that's standing on these issues, and so it may not have been directed towards me. I'm not trying to claim it is, but I do know that the person that posted it, the way they stand, like on issues such as abortion, but I want, so the freedom is one thing I want to hit on there. And first of all, let's take Ohio issue 2, and that's the legalization of recreational marijuana. Now, the truth is, everybody's voting on that, and there's had voted on it, and now it's passed here in Ohio, and now everybody's just overjoyed about it, and they're celebrating it, right? Yeah, Ohio, marijuana is legal in Ohio now. Now the truth is, you're celebrating in vain, because it's not really a win in any of these states where marijuana is being legalized. The truth is, the government still has full control over it, and they're telling you how you can use it, right? How you are allowed. They're still restricting you on it, in a sense, and people don't see that. So that's not really freedom, because the truth is, marijuana is where it comes from anyways. The plant is a natural plant, and there's no need, and it's got a lot of different benefits to it, the whole cannabis, hemp, all that, right? And the truth is, here in America, when back in a lot of people don't realize this, but there was a time here in this country, way back in the beginning of of America how we know it is it was mandatory that farmers had so much hemp on their land, right? And now you're being controlled and told what you can do. It's not so much technically a real victory for freedom. It's a victory for the people that want to have it legalized in the sense that it is, but it's not really a victory for freedom, if anyone can understand what I'm saying there. Hold on a minute, I'm having a little bit of problems with my mic, it seems like. But anyways, so that's what I want to touch on there. That's where I'm at with anyone who voted on issue 2. You know, I did vote, as I said in some previous videos that I released, and I voted no on issue 1 and yes on issue 2. And the only reason I did on issue 2 is it's high time, pun intended, to put that behind us, right? It's not, as I said, that voting, especially here in Ohio, is a scam. And a lot of this, what's happened yesterday, if I come into my county, Defiance County, and now anyone that's been following my stories here and that's followed along what's happened to me is, you know, the people who's acted against me, and I'll do more on this later, I'll just touch briefly on it. The people who's acted against me have all gone on to victories. My attorney, Nicholas Fee, after throwing me under the bus and acting against me, he has gone and moved up into a position within the government. At the end of December of last year, he moved into a position with assistant prosecutor, right, over there in Williams County. And now we take over here, you know, all the people that's acted against me here in my own county, Defiance County, namely Troy Essex, was, you know, I'll blame the sheriff's department acting against me and the deputies who wrongfully did this stuff, but the person who allowed it to continue and chose to prosecute it as a crime was Troy Essex. And here in Defiance County, people run unopposed, right? You see a name on the ballot and there's no one to vote, no choice. Okay, they say you're given a choice by elections, but the truth is, like here in Defiance County, there's no other vote. The mayor was ran mostly unopposed for the most part. Anyone that may have ended up on the ballot didn't stand a chance, and they make sure of it because they're all one tight-knit group together, and they will have each other's back. And I'll show a post that I put on Facebook replying to that, where somebody asked about the mayor election. But now Judge Roars, who violated my due process rights, he is retiring or moving on, whatever's going on with him. So now the spot's going to be open for the municipal court judge, and guess who gets that spot? Troy Essex, the assistant city law director that totally, he's been in violation of more than just my rights, but my rights as well, right? And total violation, malicious prosecution, all these things that he's done wrong, and they reward him for it. And so he ran for the judge position, for the municipal court judge, as he's supposedly a Republican, right? But there was no Democrat against him. There was no anybody against him. So, you know, either vote for him or you don't, you know. But he's going to get the spot because there's no other name on there. And there's no write-in spot or nothing like that. So, you know, that's what we're dealing with. And this is a huge problem all across Ohio. But Defiance definitely highlights that. So that's where I want to go with that. But now we go to, let's move on into this Ohio issue 2. Okay, let's talk about freedom, right? They want to say freedom like abortion is your freedom, and they're attacking your freedom if you're not allowed to have an abortion. And I call hogwash on that, okay? Well, I'll get to a minute to how you are free. But, you know, we'll go to because with that comes women's reproductive rights, and they're considering that parts of their freedoms, right? Women's reproductive rights, and everybody's being brainwashed to believe this. Where did the term reproductive rights ever even come from? Where are men's reproductive rights, right? If we're going to say that women have a right to their reproductive rights, then where do we set the limit? Okay, because when do men get to step in and say, where's our reproductive rights? And if we're going to do that, then some of these excuses that women are using, not women, but the people that want to persuade them, the baby killers, whatever, that want to persuade them, start talking about rape and life-threatening pregnancies, right? Well, should we do away with the term rape? That's against me. I don't believe that, but do we? Because what happens if men step in for their reproductive rights? Okay, how come men don't have reproductive rights? And if we're going to go there and say they do, then where does that stop? Okay, because let's say, now a man can do whatever, and he's, towards a woman, and he's saying, well, he's doing it in the name of his reproductive rights. You have reproductive rights as a woman, so why doesn't a man have reproductive rights? Right? And the problem, and so let's get into that, reproductive rights. And here's my problem about your freedom and your reproductive rights. No one has ever attacked the woman's rights when it comes to abortion. You're saying you have a right to abortion. This is the argument. And the truth is, you have your freedoms, and it was never taken away. Your freedom not to have a child, it's totally your choice, okay? But you make that choice before opening your legs, is what I'm saying. And a lot of people don't like me saying that, but that's the truth, okay? If you want your freedom not to have a child, once you conceive that child, it is now a living being inside you. And becomes murder when you decide to abort that baby. And people will argue that, but this is where I stand on it. And anyone who's claiming to be a Christian should be standing on that. And that's where I'll talk about. We'll get into false Christians in a few minutes, and false Republicans. But right now we're talking about the reproductive rights and the freedom. And so what are the two biggest excuses used on that? Is I'll give you an example of some moron that replied on Twitter to, he replied to Governor DeWine, and we'll get to DeWine in a minute, but he's keeping a 10-year-old rape victim from getting an abortion is going too far. Vote yes on issue 1, right? And so, of course, my response was, this is the dumbest argument being overly used. The majority of abortions are carried out by people who just can't accept the consequences of their actions. And that's where I stand. Somebody replied to me, glad to know you think kids being raped is dumb and okay with them going through life-threatening pregnancies. Okay, so let's talk about that, rape and life-threatening pregnancies. First of all, they're using the dumbest excuses, and those excuses are being echoed by people who have no clue what they're talking about. Okay, the people echoing that out there and standing up trying to claim all this stuff don't even know somebody that's been actually raped or pregnant because of a rape, or hardly know anyone that has life-threatening pregnancies. And so I'm saying, when it comes to rape, that's one of the least used excuses for abortion. Okay, the least abortions are not being carried out because of all these too many rapes. Okay, that's not happening. And life-threatening pregnancies, that's not happening. Okay, and furthermore, it was already legal for you to have an abortion in Ohio if you had a life-threatening pregnancy or rape. okay? But they want to go on issue 1 and further it. And issue 1 now gives them the right to have an abortion at any state during the pregnancy. That means right up to the day that the baby's born. And people don't see how sickening that is and how, you know, ridiculous that is. Anyone, I'm a dad, of course, and you know, had a child with a woman that was not fit to be a mother. She's a piece of crap, right? And she was not in his life. So I ended up raising my son mostly on my own, except for with the help of some here and there with my parents. And I'm not ever claiming to be a great parent. In fact, I look back now on some things where I failed, and I know my failures. I'm not trying to claim to be holier than thou, but I do know what it was like through that whole pregnancy. And anyone who has, you can't tell me that that's not a living soul. You know, if you know, if anyone who's had children and stuck it out with the person that while she was pregnant, and how the baby reacts to all these different things outside of the womb while the baby's still inside the womb, and you can't tell me there's not a life in there, right? And that, so it becomes murder when you kill that baby, whether it's born already or not. It's still a life before it's born. And you know, and find a pregnant woman and you will see what I'm talking. Hang around them for a while and you will see how this baby will react while it's still inside of them. It'll react to all kinds of different things going on outside of the woman, right? And you know, so I mean, where do I go? So my thing is, those so rape and life-threatening pregnancies are actually the least used reasons for abortion. Most abortions are, and it comes down to it, are because somebody wasn't okay with the consequences of the choices they made to open their legs, to lay down. Okay, you have the freedom not to have a child because you have the freedom to make the right choices before that happens. But we don't want to have that conversation, right? We're not going to sit here and have that conversation anywhere in this country. And, you know, your schools aren't going to teach it. Your government's not going to teach it. And the thing is, the misconception is that there's people in the government that are against abortion. And that's not true, okay? We're being fooled and played on all sides. And the thing is, when are we going to step up to the plate and start educating the people for what it really is? Okay, if you don't want to have a child, then make that decision before you do the deeds, right? You can keep your legs closed or you can use protection to prevent it. That's up to you, okay? But now we're gonna go ahead and take something that was already legal in Ohio to a point where if it was life-threatening, deemed life-threatening, or if it was because of horrible something like rape, it was already legal. But that wasn't good enough. We had to go in there because there's far more sinister plans here, and it's the thing. You know, we want to look around at the world today and say, oh, we're all acting like animals, and that's not true, because I'm telling you, even the animals, to this day, even the animals will protect their babies, right? We're acting like monsters. I'll say that again. We're acting like monsters, and not animals. Animals will protect their babies. We're acting like monsters, monsters that want to sacrifice babies at the altar of their false gods. And that's what's going on here in this nation, for one, and now here in Ohio, and judgment's going to end up coming on Ohio. But I was going to skip voting yesterday because the whole thing I'm seeing how is a scam, but I did for one reason. I went out there to vote no on issue 1. That way the blood is not on my hands, right? If you voted yes, the blood is on your hands, and that's what I'm talking about. Now let's get down to, so that's where the freedom is, okay? Let's point that out. When we want to talk about, I'm all for your freedom, and anyone that knows me, I will be the first one around here. If you're around here and your freedom's under attack, I'll be the first one to jump up and stand up for your freedom. That's a fact, okay? I will be there in your corner if it's real freedom. But if you want me to say, oh, you should be protected on your right to kill babies, I will not stand up for you, because you had the freedom that your parents didn't want to teach you, your school didn't want to teach you, your government didn't want to teach you, that you had the freedom to just say no. You had the freedom to keep your clothes on. You had the freedom to use protection. Because you didn't want to do that, now you have the consequence of having a baby, and you want to escape that consequence and kill it, okay? That's what it is. It's murder. And there's people, I invite you to continue listening, but I know there are people that will be offended by this. And now, so let's move on from there, and let's start talking about Christians versus non-Christians, okay? Of course, most non-Christians are going to be all for abortion, right? But I appeal to you that there's still plenty of non-Christians that are against abortion, because they have some moral things in them, and they just haven't come all the way to being a Christian the way it should be, right? But let's talk about the false Christians. Ohio Issue 1 did not get passed based on non-Christians alone. Ohio Issue 1 did not get passed based on baby killers alone. Okay, it's false Christians who can't understand what they believe. Okay, you're a false Christian if you voted yes on Issue 1, and there are Christians out there, people who claim to be Christians, who have voted yes on Issue 1, and I've talked to some of them myself, and chances are you've probably heard from them. Issue 1, or abortion, I should say, abortion in general, that there are Christians that, supposed Christians, they claim to be Christian, call themselves Christian, and, as an example, they want to say, oh, no, they killed innocent babies over in Israel, and so they want to use that as an excuse to go to war, but don't care about the innocent babies right here in our own country that's been killed. And I tell you right now that a lot of Christians, supposed Christians, voted yes on Issue 1. They voted to allow babies to be killed at any stage in the pregnancy. And why? Because they fall to the excuse and say, oh yeah, well, it's women's reproductive rights. I don't have a right to tell them what to do. Or, what about the rape victims? Or what about the life-threatening pregnancies? If you believe any of that garbage, then you are not a real Christian. And I'm not saying you have to be a Christian, but I'm appealing at this moment, when I talk about the false Christians, I'm appealing to the people who claim to be Christian. You better check yourself and put yourself in check, because you cannot vote yes on abortion and claim to be a Christian, right? But now let's take a look at the whole Republican Democrat kind of thing, right? And there's people that can't understand this, that it don't matter who you're voting for, red or blue, Republican, Democrat, left or right, it don't matter which direction you're voting. They're all the same. The candidates you're voting for answer to the same people, and it ain't you or me. They get in there and they forget about you and me, and they start doing what the powers above them want them to do and what the money tells them to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, as an example, Defiance County, where I'm at, first of all, Ohio, the state of Ohio is mostly Republican. It's all, the majority of the positions held are being held by the Republicans. You come right here to Defiance County, and it's all mostly Republican. How many of these Republicans are for abortion, right? So we take Governor DeWine. He released a video. I seen it on Twitter, and who knows where else. I've seen some of these commercials. We'll talk about DeWine's video. First of all, it's him and his wife, him and Fran, telling you how Issue 1 is bad and you need to vote against it. And I'm appealing to you now that that was done on purpose. Excuse me. That was done on purpose to get people to vote yes on Issue 1, because it's largely known here in Ohio, nobody likes Governor DeWine. Republicans and Democrats alike. They don't like DeWine. Nobody can stand DeWine. They want him out of there. And there are people in if you went on his Twitter page where he posted that video, there are people that said just that. If DeWine says it's bad, then it must be good. If DeWine says vote no, then I must vote yes, right? And that's the truth. And that's what they did. They played with your mind there, and you know, by using someone like DeWine, a Republican, pretending to be a Republican with Christian values, saying you need to vote no, and that put automatically in the minds of a lot of people to go ahead and vote yes. Okay, and then we take some of these commercials that's come on and interrupted a lot of the television, and I've seen a couple of them, but one of them was, it was pretty much a gay dude, and you could tell 100% he was gay, but he comes on there with some children in the background and claims to be a married father of 3, and telling you how it's just women have to have their reproductive rights, and he's appealing to that. And the way he's talking, you can tell he's 100% gay. They used somebody who's not married with children and claimed he was, so that they could appeal to you to vote yes on issue 1. And the truth is, that's what they're doing, and they're doing that to fool Christians alike. People want to claim to be Christians, but they're following the words and advice of other people instead of looking at the Bible or asking Jesus to tell them what's right. Because if you're a true Christian, you are not going to be for abortion, right? And then, you know, right back to the Republicans here. You know how many Republicans it would have taken to vote yes on issue 1? You know, it's not, you can't blame just the Democrats. How many Republicans, supposed Republicans, and I want to tell you right now, I'm not Republican or Democrat. I vote based on, and I'm really having trouble with this whole voting thing to begin with. Like I said, I wasn't even going to vote, but because of that issue, I had to go out there and do it so that I could say that the blood ain't on my hands, right? And because otherwise, voting is a scam, and just like Defiance County proved that, but here in Ohio, things going on, your voting is a scam, and you're being led by politicians. It's not Republican or Democrat. No matter what side they claim to be on, they're still both fighting for the same team and the same outcome. And a lot of Republicans did vote for yes for issue 1, and you know, so this is the problem. Look around you, and it's high time we get this notion of Republican, Democrat, left and right, red and blue. We need to get that out of our minds and start realizing that I vote based on what my conscience tells me about the person. I vote, you know, and I'm telling you, you don't have to vote the same way as me, and you don't have to believe the same things as me. If you know, I don't condemn you. If you voted yes on it, if you're for abortion, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be, but you know, it don't mean I hate you because you don't see it the same way I do. You can vote however you want. That's what voting's about. You vote based on, but most people aren't doing that. They're out there voting based on how they're manipulated. You're allowing all these people to manipulate you. Like, I didn't release this video before the voting because I'm not here to manipulate nobody. I have my views, and you're welcome to your views. Now, when it comes to being a Republican, you know, I'm not Republican, but I'm saying all those people claiming to be Republican, you're supposedly representing a Christian base. You know, overall, that's the way it's seen, and that's not true, but that's the way it's being seen. You should be handling your affairs as Republican as what the Republican views should be, right? And but you know, I'll tell you now, there's also some Democrats that voted against issue 1. Okay, so they use this stuff to manipulate us and keep us fighting each other when it's high time we stop calling it Republican and Democrat. This is a republic that we live in, and we each have our own rights, okay? And reproductive rights, if you want to protect your reproductive rights, if you don't want to be reproducing, then keep your damn legs closed. But you don't want to have that conversation, and that's where I'm at with that, right? You know, so we're surrounded by a bunch of fake ass people, and we can't see that we're we're
monsters.
We have become a nation of monsters. It's ridiculous, the stuff that's going on, and where does it end, and what comes next. I just want to jump on here with one more thing that I wanted to add in here is consider this for a moment. Anyone who has children and could sit there and say that they're for abortion, or if you take a look, maybe you're somebody and you see your own parent, one or both of your parents being all praiseful of this abortion thing, and they're, oh yeah, it's so great, and you should have a right. And what they're saying is that they wish they had this option before they had you. They wish, you know what I'm saying? They are saying that because they had a child, their life was ruined and they didn't get to enjoy all the whatever joys of what everybody runs after. And so they have no respect for life, okay? There's no way somebody who does have a child could sit there and look at their child, if they love their child, and honestly say that abortion is okay, It's just, why don't people understand that? Instead, they're saying, yes, to their own child, yes, you should be able to have an abortion because you'll ruin your life if you have a child. Well, that means they're saying their life was ruined for having you, right? And then so another thing towards the Christians I want to throw out there is any Christian out there that has voted for yes on issue 1, has voted for abortion, just know this, in Amos chapter 3 verse 2, you only have I chosen of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all of your sins. Just here it is. Proverbs chapter 6 verse 16, these 6 things are abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. Right? Hands that shed innocent blood. Babies, even still in the womb, are innocent blood. Where is the whole thing about abortion? If you're denying God, period, and you don't know how bad that is. Because if you take a look at Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. In God's image. When you want to kill a baby, or kill any person, you are killing the image of God, right? And you are saying you despise the image of God. People don't want to understand that, and where all this is getting way out of hand. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19 through 20. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. Right? This is what it's all about. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Right? And but people don't want to see that, and even the Christians are starting to not see that. They're going away from their own faith. Psalm chapter 139, for you created, verse 13, for you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. Okay, this is what, we could go on all day about that. And this is the generation we're living in, and this is what's going on right here in America. You take Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's where we're at. You take a look around us, and this is where we're at. And I just wanted to get on here and say some stuff about that, because are you happy, Ohio? Now we got Ohio issue 1 passed. Okay, well, good for you. But I want to reach out to the people that want to sit here and act like this is something to praise and this is something to be grateful for. We already had, here in Ohio, we already had the right to abortion. You already had your reproductive rights protected if you had a reason. But no, now they brought issue 1 in there, and issue 1 says that a minor, you know, someone who's not allowed to smoke, to choose to smoke, someone who's not allowed, don't have the right to choose to do any of the adult things, but they're allowed to choose to have an abortion without consenting to their parents about it. And then it goes on even further to hold the physicians unaccountable. So that means if you go get an abortion by some quacked out doctor, and that doctor does something that causes you life-threatening things afterwards, that messes you up, you can't hold them accountable. You wanted to have an abortion, and now the law protects them that during that abortion, if they screwed your life up, screwed you up even worse because of that abortion, or you even die because of something they did, they're held unaccountable. And that's what people don't understand. And the biggest thing is, it takes it now, the whole time, someone could be having a baby the whole time, and, you know, the very day it's about to be born, they're allowed to abort it. And that's what you people who sound so sick don't even want to take the time to understand what you're actually talking about. The abortions were already legal, and now we got these people who want, oh, women's reproductive rights. And you know what? You want to protect your reproductive rights. You want to have your freedom. No one ever took your freedom from you. If you want to be free to choose not to have a baby, then do so before you do the act that causes the baby. That's where I'm at with that. Anyways, I got some other subjects I want to talk about, so I want to move on from that. And I thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And see ya.